Are you stealing my thunder?
Maybe.
You owe me a mint mocha iced coffee when we're done with this because I need another one.
No, you don't.
They were gonna.
You
No.
steal my thunder all the time.
That's true. But I am the storm. Okay. We'll stop bantering for like a second. No, what I was actually going to say, no, Mace, you make a really good point. And yes, we're going to get there. But what I was going to say is let's jump into the neuroscience really quick before we jump into how information control can be really, really dangerous. And so anyway, one of the things that we know about our brain is that human brains are one brain per human, but they're very, very curious. And there is a great need to know, but we also have this tendency and this craving for the unexplainable, the mystical. If we look at human societies for eons and eons and eons, you're going to see different types of worship. And as society moves forward, you're also going to see how those systems of worship or those systems of the way that they worship a higher power has really shifted. You know, we see like in our cavemen, we see fun drawings and gods that were very vindictive. You see that kind of morph into like Greek mythology. Most of us today would study Greek mythology as this is very entertaining, but I would say very few people on the earth today still believe in and worship Zeus and Hera and, you know, all the other Greek gods that are super dysfunctional. And so, you know, we see these systems throughout human history, and even moving forward when we begin to really kind of break things down. You know, I know that in Mormonism, the Bible is still, for the most part, believed to be a historically accurate document, despite the fact that scholars have been able to break that down and identify actually this is folklore and myth. These are verbal stories that were told over time. They were recorded. Some of it is based on factual incidents in the world, but the actual stories, you know, we're going to say, was there ever an actual global flood? Lots of academics say, well, maybe a regional flood. Other academics are going to say, hey, floods in general, but it's a story that was meant to inspire goodness and support the values and moral systems of the time in which it was created. But my point being that our brain craves this mysticism, but it also craves needing to know and identify things as factual. And so a lot of what I do in clinic with my clients is I help them shift perspectives and challenge a lot of their belief systems. You know, so there's for example, a tendency in my field that we call mind reading. And I see this come out a lot in my couples therapy where one couple will say, well, when you said that, you were thinking this and you meant this. And then I've got the other, you know, partner saying, no, that's not what I thought. And that's not what I intended. And then they start fighting over, yes, it was. That is what you were thinking. And we have to really break things down and say, are you clairvoyant? And
I do that with my children.
I know you do it all the time with your kids. I know. And your kids all the time are like, nuh-uh. You're a liar.
I have mind reading children for sure. Clairvoyance is a drift.
No. You read your children's minds. Your children's read each other's minds. I pull my hair out because everybody's trying to be clairvoyant in the household. Drives me nuts. So anyway, no, just kidding. I do it too. So anyway, my point being that it is a normal, natural human tendency to say, when you said this, this is what you were thinking. And for me, if I'm the speaker at that moment, to believe that my mind reading capabilities are accurate. And so it takes a lot of conscious effort and academic effort or relationship, like communication effort, in order to really get down to the bottom of what is objective fact, what is subjective fact, what is perception, and those types of things. And so really, Mason, in our planning meeting today, when we were going through and kind of sorting out what we're going to talk about today and then where we're going to take things for our next episode that pulls us into thought control, what both of us had stated was information control truly is the birthplace of thought and emotion control. And so today we're really going to focus on how the Mormon Church controls information. And our intent is for the listener to be able to say, hey, yes, I see this, maybe in Mormonism, maybe in my own religion, maybe in my work system, maybe in politics, maybe wherever, at my family reunion, I saw this, whatever the case may be. But then the goal is to teach you, okay, so how can I begin to challenge this and check this? And I think really the best example is, when I was going to college in Mason, I'm going to assume this was the same for you when you were in your nursing school and then medical school, was that they didn't really tell us don't study anything. That was never said to me in college.
Don't study anything other than what we've given you? Yeah.
Yeah, they never told us. Right, they never said, I
was definitely told to study.
Right, no, they told us to study, yes. Oh, I was told to study too. But they never said, don't look at self-help. So for my field, I'm behavioral health. They never said, don't look at self-help books. Really, they said, if you look at self-help books, you need to follow the source material so that you can view the peer-reviewed journals so that you are able to go back into the actual research methods. And what they really taught us was how to determine if research was being conducted in a non-biased way, in a repeatable way, to identify the limits of studies, the strengths of studies, and to not formulate an opinion until we had done that deeper dive into the research. And I'm really grateful for that skill because there are times where I'll be reading like a self-help book, and I'm not going to name any titles because I don't remember them off the top of my head. But I remember reading a couple of self-help books when I was in school and going, I remember Love and Logic was one of them. Love and Logic was one of them, which is very anecdotally based and whatnot. And so as I was reading that, I was like, man, this just doesn't seem to jive, one, with what I'm seeing in my own home with my special needs kiddos, but it also doesn't seem to be matching some of the research that I've recently been reading.
Right.
For my research projects and whatnot for my master's program. And so I went back in and I followed the studies, and I was like, wow, the studies that they're quoting are very limited. They had super small sample sizes, meaning, their sample sizes might have been only 10 participants in the study. So that is very limited, versus 100 people that they studied, or 1,000 versus 10,000. Right. And so, things like sample sizes and the research methodology that they were using was very subjective. And so I was like, I really don't want to base this very popular parenting style of Love and Logic, something that I will say there have been times where I have recommended certain Love and Logic techniques to my parents when I've been counseling, but I always talk about the limits of it,
right.
And whatnot, because it works really well for black and white thinkers, but it's not a great way, in my opinion, to emote and connect on that deeper relational place.
Well, and I think this is kind of speaking to the fact that you just said information control is the beginning of thought control.